Today, I'm building my dream resort in Roblox, and we're starting from the ground up. First, I started building the main entrance and the basic areas of the resort. Then I began adding all the important details to the ground floor. I wanted this resort to feel like a real luxury vacation spot. So I'm adding everything from the gym to different rooms and entertainment areas. The more I build, the bigger this resort gets. Now the ground floor is really starting to come together, and I'm honestly loving how it looks. Every upgrade brings a new part of the resort to life, so I'm focusing on building everything step by step. The entrance is coming together, and the resort is already starting to look much bigger. Now I'm adding more paths, decorations, and different areas around the resort. The goal is to turn this empty space into a massive luxury resort, and the build is getting bigger with every upgrade. After finishing all the main areas on the first floor, it's finally time to move up. And now I'm starting the second floor, but this is only the beginning. Now I'm moving on to the next section of the resort. I'm starting by adding these pillars to make the structure look bigger and more detailed. Next, I'm putting up the walls and filling in the empty spaces. The whole area is slowly starting to look like an actual resort. Now I'm adding a couch here to make the space feel more comfortable and welcoming. I'm also adding a door and placing some plants around the area. These small details really make a big difference. Next, I'm adding another set of pillars and continuing the walls around the room. Now it's time to decorate the walls. I'm adding some paintings to make the interior look more stylish and less empty. I'm adding another door here and continuing with more wall pieces to complete this section. Next, I'm placing more pillars around the room. This is making the whole area feel much more finished. Now I'm moving on to another section of the house, and there's still a lot of work left to do. I'm starting with the pillars first. These pillars are going to give the room a much stronger and more luxurious look. I'm adding each one carefully and making sure everything lines up perfectly. Next, I'm building up the walls around this area. The space is already starting to look completely different compared to how it looked before. Now I'm adding a comfortable couch to the room. This is going to make the space feel much more welcoming and relaxing. I'm also placing a door here to connect this room with the next area of the house. After that, I'm adding some plants around the room to bring in a little bit of greenery. Now it's time to build the gym area of this house. I'm starting with the main gym setup and placing the equipment one by one. First, I'm adding the rings to this section. These are going to give the gym a proper workout room feel. Next, I'm placing the dumbbell sets. I'm spreading them out neatly so the gym looks organized and realistic. Now I'm adding the squat rack. This is going to be one of the main pieces of equipment in the gym, and it really makes the room look like a serious workout space. I'm also placing a large rug underneath the workout area to make the room feel more finished and comfortable. Now I'm adding a punching bag to the gym. This makes the workout area feel even more complete. Next, I'm moving over to the restaurant area. I'm starting with the main door. Seedling plant. I'm adding a small plant near the entrance to give this area some extra detail. Now I'm building the wall around the restaurant. The space is starting to take shape. Next, I'm adding a door leading into the kitchen. Now I'm building up the kitchen walls and filling in the space. I'm adding the kitchen counter here. This is going to be the main working area. Now I'm placing the kitchen appliances. This is making the kitchen look much more realistic. Finally, I'm adding the table here. And now the restaurant is starting to feel like a real dining area. Now I'm adding another wall to complete this section. It's making the restaurant area look much more finished. Next, I'm placing another table here. This fits perfectly with the restaurant setup and gives the room a nice dining area. Now I'm adding another wall to complete this section. The restaurant is really starting to come together. Artist palette wall painting. Next, I'm adding some wall paintings to give the restaurant more character and detail. Now I'm working on the restaurant roof. This is making the whole area feel much more complete. Finally, I'm adding the lighting. These lights are giving the restaurant a much better atmosphere. Now I'm moving straight into the second floor area. First, I'm adding the staircase to connect the floors. Next, I'm building the hall around the staircase and adding the door. I'm placing a plant here to give the hall a little more life. Now I'm adding the stairs and continuing the walls around the area. Next, I'm filling in the floor and completing the hall space. And finally, I'm adding the lights to brighten up the entire second floor. Now the second floor officially begins. I'm starting by building up the walls and creating the main structure. Next, I'm adding the door to connect this area with the rest of the floor. I'm also placing a plant here to add some greenery and make the space feel more alive. The second floor is slowly starting to take shape, but there's still a lot more to build. Next, I'm adding some arcade machines to make the second floor more fun. Plant. Adding a few plants to bring some life into the room. Gaming setup. Now I'm building a gaming setup for the ultimate entertainment space. Adding another wall to complete this section. Next, I'm adding some big windows for a better view. Window. More windows going in, and this room is starting to feel much brighter. Now I'm adding a drink fridge, so everything is right here when I need it. Now I'm adding the gaming setup to the second floor. Then I'm placing another wall to shape the room. A few more windows are going in to open up the space. And now I'm adding some more furniture to make this floor feel complete. The lounge is really starting to come together now. I'm adding the lighting, tables, walls, and doors to make the space feel complete. And now we're moving outside to finish the terrace and railing. This house is getting bigger and better with every upgrade. Now I'm moving outside to finish the terrace. I'm adding the railing, some plants, and a few chairs to make the space feel more relaxing. After that, I'm heading back inside to finish the roof, hall lights, and the final painting. The house is really starting to come together now. The build is coming together really nicely now. I'm adding the pillars first to give the room a stronger and more finished look. Next, I'm working on the floor and adding the ceiling fan to make the space feel more complete. I'm also adding the stairs and another door, which connects this area to the rest of the house. Now I'm moving on to the corner windows. These huge windows let in tons of natural light and give us an amazing view outside. After that, I'm adding some plants and couches to make the room feel more comfortable and luxurious. Now I'm adding the couch to make this room more comfortable. Next, I'm putting in the railing and finishing up the walls. After that, I'm adding some painting to bring more life to the room. And finally, I'm installing these corner windows for an amazing view outside. Now I'm moving on to another section of the house, and there's still a lot of work left to do. First, I'm adding the walls and filling in the empty spaces to make the room feel more complete. After that, I'm working on the reception area. I'm adding the reception roof and then upgrading the lighting to make this whole space look much better. Now it's time to add some pillars around the room. These details might seem small, but they really make the building feel bigger and more luxurious. Next, I'm adding more walls and finishing the floor around the reception area. The house is slowly starting to come together. I'm also adding some plants to bring more life and detail into the room. And finally, I'm placing more pillars and adding another door to connect everything together. There's still more to build, but this place is already looking absolutely amazing. Let's keep going. Alright, the house is getting bigger and better. I'm moving on to the daycare area now, and this section is going to make the house feel way more complete. First, I'm adding the daycare floor and opening up the space. Now I'm adding more windows and pillars around the daycare. These huge windows give the room an amazing view of the outside, and honestly, this place is already looking incredible. Let's keep building. I'm adding another wall, followed by more windows and pillars. I'm spending a lot of money here, but the house is definitely starting to look like a luxury mansion. Another window goes in, and now I'm filling in the empty sections around it. The design is coming together really nicely, and I love how open this entire area feels. Now I'm adding the final stairs and walls to connect everything together. The house is starting to look really complete. Next, I'm painting the room and giving it a much cleaner and brighter look. This is definitely making the interior feel more finished. Now let's add the TV. This room is finally starting to feel like a real home. And of course, we need a bathroom. I'm adding the toilet and finishing up this area. Everything is coming together so nicely, and I'm spending all my money to make this house bigger and better. Now I'm adding more walls, windows, and furniture to make the rooms feel complete. And just look at this view. The windows make the whole room feel so open and bright. We're getting really close to the final build. Now we're moving on to the second bedroom, and this one is going to be just as amazing. First, I'm adding the walls and getting the room layout ready. Then I'm adding a huge window, so this bedroom gets plenty of natural light. I'm also adding an aquarium to give the room a really cool and relaxing vibe. Next, I'm adding some paintings and plants to make the room feel more complete. After that, I'm finishing the walls and adding the bathroom area with a toilet, sink, and bath. And of course, we need a TV and a comfortable couch to make this bedroom feel like a luxury suite. Everything is finally coming together, and this second bedroom is looking incredible. The house is almost finished, and I can't wait to show you the final result. The second bedroom is really starting to come together now. I'm adding the bed, fan, room lights, and a few final details to make it feel comfortable and modern. And now I'm finishing the hallway lights too. This house is getting better with every upgrade. Now the house is really starting to come together. I'm adding the final walls, doors, windows, and furniture to this room. Everything is looking bigger and better with every upgrade. And we're getting really close to finishing this entire house. Another room is almost complete. I'm adding the TV, bed, walls, and all the final details. This house is turning into a massive dream home. The house is getting bigger and better with every upgrade. I'm adding the final details now: fans, doors, windows, walls, beds, and lights. Every room is starting to look more complete, and this house is seriously turning into a massive dream home. We're almost done, but there's still one final thing left. If you enjoyed this build, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.